Then we're talking about where you threw the you threw the Dveila Shmeina against the wall and landed above 10 tefachim, below 10 tefachim. The difference is, yesterday we spoke about chokim lahashlin, whether you make you look at the wall as if it's a cavity in that spot or not. Rav Chisda says moded luchsan. Chisda said we're talking about a case where the wall actually is on an angle, so there is actually a platform to rest. It's a wall which comes down. I don't know exactly what angle, but let's say a 30-degree angle. So therefore, it's resting on a platform, and that would make you chayav or potter, depending on how far up or how far down it landed. Right? That's why. What difference does it make if it landed on a platform, on a angle, eventually it's going to fall down? So Yerushalmi said, like we said before, it's talking about where it was a fat, juicy the date, and it's stuck to the side of the wall, so it's not going to fall down.
If it's on the angle, you measure the height from a straight plumb line, not from the...
Correct. Right, not on a diagonal, right, straight up and down. Right, B'chagei boy come Rabbi Yossi here. B'chagei, as a part of Rabbi Yossi, Leisa da'am rashipua madrega kilamaton. Does this not tell us that where it's not sticking, where it's not a fat, juicy date, so that the angle is, the slope, I guess is a better word, is like down below? So that's a question, because in the Mishnah we learned way back when in Kilayim, we said there that if you have a slope between a lower field and an upper field, then the trees on the slope are considered to be part of the upper field. And here we see that that which lands on the slope as if it's down below. Now, of course, the answer is obvious. I know what you're going to answer, and the Yerushalmi is going to answer. But the question is that we see a slope is on top, and here we see that a slope is like down below. So it says more, a very simple answer. There, the seeds literally derive benefit. What it means is they're stationary and deriving benefit from the angle or the step where they are. But here, here people are going to scrape against it, fellas, and it's going to fall. So that's why here we regard the slope as being down below. So again, there's no force of gravity really at work here. There's a force of gravity, the force of human intervention. So that's why we regard it as being down below, because eventually it will fall down. Ilu Amar, what would be comparable to the case in Kilayim, where you brought down a case where there was a hole, and it benefits from the hole, meaning it's stuck in the hole. Then that would be similar, because then if I would say that which is stuck in the hole, even though it's never going to come down, is considered to be stationary, and it's going to be part and parcel of the whole I'm sorry, if I would say that it's not considered stationary, it's considered as if it was down on the ground, so then I could draw a parallel and ask a question, Kilayim, so it's also considered as if it's on the ground already, right? And a derived benefit from the wall, from the hole, and you would say in that case that it was down below, it was considered to be as if it's on the ground of Shus Rabim. So then, and you would want to compare just as the seeds are planted into the slope between the two patches, Ya'us, that would be a good comparison, but of course that is not here the case. Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Avo B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan said, they also said that the place was a slope. Afterwards it's going to fall down. So we've read before it's a Dveila Shmeina. They give a different answer. Like that which we learned in the Mishnah, which we just learned yesterday. If you threw something more than 4 amos away, that's a mistake. She means galgal toch arba amos. I didn't even catch that one. Just rushed by it. But it's a mistake, obviously. It's galgal toch arba amos, right? If you threw it beyond 4 amos, it rolled back into the 4 amos. You're chayav, right? So that's the case. So to here, when it hit the slope, even if it rolls back down, it doesn't matter. Why? Because lemaisa, we came to a stop more than 4 amos away. It came to a stop somewhere where it's in Rishus Harabim.
Is this part of like I don't know, Garmi? Is that some of the principle behind this? Because your force, it's a koach rishon.
No, the same we choose. We're going to get to that later today. But something you throw is not considered to be koach rishon. It's considered to be kocho. Koach rishon is 1 step removed from you. Koach sheni is 2 step removed. In other words, if I hit something, if I throw something up, Oh, am I right about that? Maybe you're right. I take that back. You're right. Koch Rishon is when I throw something against the wall. Koch Sheni is when it ricochets back. So what do you want to ask?
So no, is that the guiding principle here? Why are you chayiv?
Because your Koch ended when it landed. Right.
Because
the fact that it went back in.
You can always say that your Melech's Machshavas was for it to be less than Daled Amos.
No, this is a case where you intended it to go more than 4 amos.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Zor chutz la'arba amos. Nizgalgal toch arba amos. You intended to throw it.
Right.
Okay,
Sorry.
you're right. You would be right in the other case, which the Mishnah did discuss. If you intend to throw it in 4 amos, then it was nizgalgal outside the 4 amos. Then it would be potter. Okay? As Rabbi Chizka, Rabbi Avo, B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan, V'uk shenacha, that it still has to rest a certain moment at least on a tangible surface beyond the 4 amos. If it just hit and ricocheted back, so then within the 4 amos, so then that's not considered to be at all hanocha on the beyond Daled amos. So it must be some way in which it hits and then rests for a moment and then goes back in. You know, kind of like, I don't know, for Havdil, I know for you guys it's a relevant mashal. If somebody throws a football pass and then he fumbles, so he has to actually hold it in his hand for a couple of seconds. How long does he have to hold it before he drops it? Football you don't like, I forgot. 3 seconds. Shkoyach.
It's the bleachers there.
It's the bleacher, yeah. Okay. I didn't know you had these things within you, Yoshua. Okay, but... Chatos Nuri.
You want to go on a baseball trip?
So same idea. It has to be hanacha before it actually rolls back in order to be considered bichayv. Hazorik b'yam arba amos. If somebody threw in on the sea, in other words, over water, 4 amos, potter. However, if you had a large puddle, goes to the puddle, then Hazorik b'socha arba amos. If somebody throws over that puddle 4 amos, chayev, right? Because it's not a true yam. V'kamo rekek mayim, what is considered to be a puddle? Pachat mitzvah tvachim, anything which is less than 10 tvachim deep. Rekek mayim, and repeat again. Rekek mayim, a puddle. Rosh Hashanah malechas bone. Rosh Hashanah goes through the puddle. Hazorik b'socha arba amos chayev. Somebody who throws 4 amos within that puddle is chayev again because it's not truly a yam. It is Rosh Hashanah masquerading as a puddle. Okay, lo sof davar ava amos. The truth is, it doesn't matter how far you throw in the yam. You can throw half a mile. Afilu zark b'chol yam. If you threw over the entire ocean, or entire lake, or entire water, you're a potter. Shekol yam nikar karmelis, and the entire water is called a karmelis. V'lomet nisa trains even. Why is it mentioned 2 times in the Mishnah that if the Rosh Hashanah goes through a puddle, you're chayev? Rabbi Chanina b'shem Rabbi Pinchas says, it's talking about 2 different kinds of puddles. One through which the masses pass, and the other, the masses do not pass unless they are compelled to do so. Literally, they're pressured into it, because it's a puddle which will make them wet and really muddy and really dirty, and it's really deep. You know, obviously less than 10 tefachim, but the deep. So in that case, we say, Shalot Tomar, don't say, since the masses don't go through it, unless they are up against the wall, they're considered not Rosh Hashanah, rather Rosh Hashanah. That's why they say that nevertheless Rosh Hashanah, it still has the status of Rosh Hashanah. Okay, halacha hey, Mr. Zuger, Samach Vavam Beis, starting a new Mishnah. Hazorik min hayam li'abasha, somebody throws from the sea to the land. Min hayabasha li'yam, from the land to the sea. Min hayam l'sfina, from the sea to a boat. Min hasfina li'yam, from the boat to the sea. Min hasfina l'chaverta, from boat to boat. Potter. In all these cases, you're exempt, because all of these, the sea, no matter what, shusa rabim to rabbanon only. So therefore, it's a karmelis. It's a karmelis. So therefore, it's only a karmelis. So therefore, there's certainly no way to be chayiv to raisa. Sfinos kshura zubazu. If 2 boats are tied onto each other, the taltim izulazu, you can carry from one to the other. If they're not tied to each other, even if they are surrounded by some sort of net which serves as a wall, one cannot carry it from the one to the other. Amar Abba Bar Ravuna Amar Bikshuras Begami, that to be tied together with a rope. Now, gami is a string. It's really a very narrow rope. Even though it's a very light rope, that is sufficient, but they must be tied together. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Buna, Amar, Ve'ein She'irvu. You need an Eruv Chatzeres between the two boats, because each of the boats is separate Rishus. So therefore, in order to carry from one to the other, you have to make an Eruv Chatzeres. Rabbi Chia, Rabbi Ima, Tarveon, they both, B'Shem, Tcheichon. B'Shem, Rabbi Lozer said, Chad, they had a dispute what Rabbi Lozer said. Chad Amar B'Shem B'Neim Rochav Arba. It's only if there aren't 4 amos between them. Yeah. The Choron Amar, oh, maybe it's 4 Tvachim. 4 Tvachim, sorry. It's only when there aren't 4 Tvachim between them. The Choron Amar, the other one said, Afilu Yesh Arba B'Neim Rochav Arba. If there are 4 Tvachim between them, as long as they're tied together, you can carry from one to the other. V'lo Yadin Man Amar Da, Man Amar Da. We didn't know who held what in the Machlokas. Min Madam Rabbi Yosef, and that was Rabbi Yosef, and Rabbi Yaakov Bar Zavdi, Rabbi Chia B'Shem Rabbi Lazar, right? So this is Rabbi Chia named Rabbi Lazar, said that even though the boats are not 10 tefachim high, you're allowed to carry from one to the other. Heavy do Omar, he must be the one who held B'She'ein B'Neim Rochav Arba. There can't be 4 tefachim between the two of them. Now this is a very cool limud. We didn't have this in the Bavli. This is I really have to draw you a picture here. Here, I use the paper on the table. You have, here's the sea. Okay? Here's the boats. Okay, they're not underwater, you understand? You can join us, it's Yerushalmi. It's exotic. Okay?
Have you ever been more than that?
You don't know. Okay? You have here the 2 boats. Now here, if there's more than 10 tefachim, from here to here, then there could be less than 4 tefachim from here to here. If there's less than 10 tefachim from here to here, then there cannot be more than 4 tefachim from here to here. Why are those things contingent? Very cool. So he says, if you think about it, let's just put on a flat top for convenience sake. If this is more than 10, this distance is more than 10, so this is not in the same rishus as the water. The water is more than 10 tefachim below. The water is a carmelis. The boats are rishus hayachid. You can carry, therefore it doesn't matter what distance between the 2 boats there is, because you're not coming into contact with this carmelis at all. You're just going from one rishus hayachid to another rishus hayachid. If, however, the walls are less than 10 tefachim, then the boats have to be within 4 tefachim of each other. Because why is that? Because they're less than 10 tefachim, then in fact they are not distinct from the sea in between them. They're not high enough. And therefore, if the sea between them is more than 4 tefachim, you actually have a carmelis between the 2 boats. And to cake something or throw something over that carmelis would be, in fact, to throw through a carmelis from boat to boat, and that would be also.
Why aren't each of the boats separate carmelis?
What?
Why aren't each of the boats?
Because our mekel. That's a special kula they gave. The truth is, the reason why they make such a kula is because the boats on the inside are 10 tefachim, no matter what, right?
Yeah.
If the boats, regardless, are 10 tefachim from base to top, so that's okay. The boats are shusayach no matter what. The question is whether that you can look at the carmelis between the boats as being eliminated or not being eliminated. Okay?
Why is it tefachim and not amos?
Oh, because the minimum shiur of carmelis is 4 tefachim. So if the boats are within 4 tefachim of each other, if this is less than 4 tefachim, so there's no carmelis between the 2 of them, right?
There's no carmelis?
No, if it's less than 4 tefachim, there's no carmelis. Okay, if it's more than 4 tefachim. So again, if it's more than 4 tefachim, it has to be more than 10 tefachim high in order to separate the boats from the carmelis below them. If this is less than 10 tefachim high, this distance and this distance, this height and this height, so then the boat, there has to be less than 4 tefachim between the boats in order to give the gap, in order to deprive the gap of its status as carmelis.
Can you do the same svara using amos instead of tefachim? Because if it's higher than 10 amos, then it's a makom patur.
And no, higher than 10 tefachim is a makom tour. Higher than 10 tefachim is a makom tour. But here it won't be a makom tour anyway because, I mean, you're right. It is a makom tour. That's why you're allowed to carry. If this is more than 10 tefachim high, then you're allowed to carry over here because this is already carried through a makom tour. That's really what we're saying.
Okay.
Yeah, when it's below 10 tefachim, you're carrying through the carmelis, and that's the problem. That's really the point. I mean, I didn't stress that, but you're correct about that. Okay?
But when we say that the boats have to be a certain distance within each other, all parts of the boat?
I don't know. The Gemara doesn't say. I don't know. Probably only part of the parts of the boat over which you carry. Okay, they have to be tied together, obviously, but they probably don't have to be not the entire length of the boat, likely, I would assume. Okay, so it says again, let's start again from the fifth line down. They didn't know who said what and who said what. And here's the important point. Who was mentioned before, said, Afilu Einan Gavos Asar, the inventory about a case where the boats are not 10 tefachim above the water. He must hold, having two Omar, he must have held that there cannot be more than 4 tefachim between the boats, because otherwise you have a karmelis between the boats. Having boy Meimar, they wanted to say, this basically reiterated what we just said. He said that there's no distance of 4 between the two of them. Afilu Einon Gavos Asara, right? Even if they're not 10 tefachim high, you can still carry between the two because there isn't 4 tefachim in between. Madamar Gavos Asara, he said they are 10 tefachim high. Afilu Yesh B'neim Rochav Arba. According to him, you're allowed to carry from one to the other, even if there's 4 tefachim between the two boats. Again, because you're carrying anyway through the Malkum Tour, which is above 10 tefachim. Okay. Says the Gemara, Omar Rabbi Chanina B'Rei Rav Hilo, V'hu Sheyeh Kol Avir Karmelis B'Sol Chasora. Now, has to be, it's the language here is obviously messed up. What it means to say, because like Korbaneh says, is that there's got to be 10 tefachim here, above water, not 10 tefachim here, including going down to the base of the ground, below the water. Okay, the 10 tefachim which we're looking at is 10 tefachim above water in the Avir Karmelis, not 10 tefachim below the water going from the ground.
Which is what you said.
Yeah, which is what I said. Right. That's just clarifying that. Okay. Says more further, Sfina Shabiyam. Now, continuing along the theme, you have a boat in the sea, Gavoa Sartvan, which is 10 tefachim high. We have a single boat now, right? We have a single boat which is more than 10 tefachim higher than the sea. You cannot take something from inside the boat and put it out, or something from outside the boat and put it in. Okay, you can't do either of them. Okay? Right, because the sea is a karmelis and the boat is just a yachid. Rabbi Ilamer, Imaisa muka min amayim asar tefachim, ve'ena gavoa min amayim asar tefachim. Let's say it's 10 tefachim on the inside. Let's say this is 10, but this is less than 10. Okay, you see that difference? So what's our luck in this case? In that case, metalti mitoch leyam. You can throw something from the boat out into the sea. However, not vice versa. But not from the sea into it.
Why is that?
Good question. Says where Rabbi Avo Rabbi Yochanan boy, yes, what's it? Why is that? Why is it mutter to take from inside to the outside? So so it says the one, is it because it's not 10 tefachim high on the outside? In Kani, if that's the case, I feel miyamatocha. If that's the case, you shouldn't be allowed to take from the sea into it. So why are you going to say that from the city into the boat is forbidden? From the sea into the boat is also. Because it's 10 tefachim deep on the inside, so in Kani, if that's it's not consistent. There's a problem here, and no matter what, this 10 tefachim should impact or not impact equally on whether you're going from in to out or out to in. Why the difference? Why the dichotomy between the two? So it says the Gemara. Rabbi Avun said, why from inside the boat is it to the outside of the boat? Is it mutter? In other words, why can you take things out? That gets a check. And you can put things in. That gets an X. Why is that? Because of sakana. Now, the Korban says sakana is because the sewage, if you're leaving the boat, is going to cause disease. But the Bnei Moshe says, if you get water in the boat, you got to bail. And I think the Bnei Moshe is correct. I think that makes sense based on what we'll see in a few minutes. So Bnei sakana means, the truth is there should be no distinction. The distinction is a
in the sink.
Extrinsic one, yeah, but the distinction is extrinsic to the case, right? That it really has to do just with the expediency of sakana. Now, Sela Shabbayam. Here we have one of those hard sugyas again where we have to play games, which makes it fun. Sela Shabbayam Gavah Asar Tvachim. You got here, you have an island. It's really called an island. You have an island in the sea which is 10 Tvachim high. Here's your island, right? It's 10 Tvachim high. Okay, not drawn to scale. So you have an island in the sea. Okay, you have an island in the sea which is 10 Tvachim high. So you're not allowed to take from it into the sea, or or from the sea to it. If it's less than 10 Tvachim high, mutter, it's permissible. Why? Very simple, right? Why? Why? Well, actually, not very simple. Why, if it's more than 10 Tvachim, is also that because it's Shusa Yachid. Why, if it's less than 10 Tvachim, is it mutter?
It's part of the Carmel.
Because they're both Carmelists. Exactly, they're both part of the Carmelists.
But if it's 10 Tvachim high, it's Makom Patur already.
What?
Isn't it Makom Patur if it's 10 Tvachim high?
It's got to be 4 Tvachim wide, though.
Oh.
No, it could be 4 Tvachim wide. No, it's 4 Tvachim wide. No, it's a large one. It's an island.
Then why isn't it Makom Patur?
No, it's Shusa Yachid. It's more 4 Tvachim wide, more than 10 Tvachim high.
So if it's not 4 Tvachim high? Oh.
No, then you would be allowed to. But this is talking about where it is more. It's talking about an island. You'll see, it's a large one, as a matter of fact. Now it says more Ma'bin Tzil Ma'bin Tzvina. Now, so why would they not? So, but I don't understand, says Gemara. Now nobody gets, in my opinion, my never to be humble opinion, as Dr. Laura says. Everybody got this wrong, including Professor Lieberman. The next line. Now the Lieberman scores everybody else, and I'm scoring Lieberman. So he says, what's the difference? The Gemara asks, what's the difference between the boat and the ship and the island? In other words, the boat you can throw out of the side, right? Why? But
the boat.
Oh, exactly. Why? But I no. So it says why. I don't know why nobody just does that. What I'm about to tell you is my touch, and the more nobody says it. Sfina Olavia Redis. A boat can go up and come down, right? That's the Bnei Moshe's thing. You don't bail, you're gonna sink, right? The boat goes up and down. Sela should be Sela be a rock is stationary, ain't nothing gonna happen to it. So therefore, by the boat you gotta bail. That's why they allowed you to do it out. By the rock you don't have to bail. So why should they be matzu to throw stuff out? It's not bad, right? Sounds pretty good, right?
Logical.
So logical. Nobody, not the Korbaneda, not the Bnei Moshe, not anybody. Okay, says the Gemara. See, that's the real advantage of the Yerushalmi. I probably told you this already before, but it can be spoiled every time it happens. By the Bavli, you don't really have direct access to the text anymore. We've lost our direct access because we have to learn through Rashi and the Rishonim. But now, in the Yerushalmi, we have direct access. We can actually even tamper with the text, of course, but the key thing is that we get to be first level Parshanim, which we cannot do in the Bavli anymore. So that's the most fun about learning Yerushalmi. Right?
I think that's one of Ginsburg's points in
Yeah.
introduction.
He does, man, I don't remember. Maybe I stole it from there. Okay, says more further.
But he doesn't phrase it that way.
He doesn't use the word fun.
He doesn't use the word access either. It's written in Hebrew.
No, Ginsburg wrote it in English. You mean Lieberman?
No, Ginsburg was in English.
He was in English.
Yeah, right.
Okay, says Gemara, but he still doesn't use the word fun, I guarantee you. Says Gemara, V'lo Carmel is he, wait a minute. Anyway, the water, the island is a Carmelis, right? So I don't understand, says the Gemara. If the island is a Carmelis, so then you should be allowed to carry from the Carmelis, from allowed to throw it off. Now, the Gemara is going to come to a conclusion. We don't know that yet. The Gemara is going to come to a conclusion in a few lines that you're not allowed to be metalfim from a Carmelis to a Carmelis. From Carmelis 1 to Carmelis 2. But now, at this point, the Gemara is assuming you can carry the sea is this is a Carmelis. That's a Carmelis. You can carry from Carmelis to Carmelis, right? Now, there's different types of Carmelis, really, but they're both similar in that they're both lacking eruv, right? So therefore, you should be allowed to carry from one to the other. So throw the stuff off the side, right? So says the Gemara, Klum hu mutar l'taltal b'karmelis ela arba amos. So first the Gemara says, you know why you can't throw it off the side? Because you can't throw something you can't have something go more than 4 amos in a carmelis. Now this argues on the Bavli. The Bavli held, and the parallel is talking about boats, and Yerushalmi itself will bring down the other opinion in a moment, that there's no lo gozru al kocho b'carmelis. That the reason why you can throw the sewage off the side of a boat, the Bavli spoke about sewage. And says the reason to throw the sewage off the side of the boat, even though it's going to go more than 4 amos in the sea, is because lo gozru al kocho b'carmelis. The kocho is also Rishus Rabim. It's also to toss something with Rishus Rabim, but it's not also to toss something in a carmelis. The Yerushalmi said it doesn't learn that way at this point. It says the Gemara klum hu mutzer talta b'carmelis el bar b'amos. And when you throw something off the side of the island, so it's going to go more than 4 amos, and therefore it's not permissible. Rabbi Ela said, Al Reisha, he argued on this. He said, a selah should be ama gavoa sarat tvach. He said concerning the first case, a selah be ama sarat tvachim, a selah which is 10 tvachim, aim etali mitoch liyam, liyam v'lo min hayam l'tocha. You can't carry from it to the sea, nor to the sea from it. Now, that's all fine and dandy. Says now comes the Gemara and says, Yoiser Mikan. Yoiser Mikan is funny, as everybody points out here. Yoiser Mikan sounds like if it's more than 10 tefachim high. But that's not the case. As the Vilna says, rather, Yoiser Mikan, there's something missing from the, there's something missing here from the Yerushalmi, the Vilna points out, and it means Yoiser Mi Beis Sosayim. If the island is more than a Beis Sosayim, you can't carry it all. Why? Because we have natural walls here. And natural walls are not makif more than a Beis Sosayim, right? Natural walls are not makif more than a Beis Sosayim. Remember that? We had that in Erevin. So therefore, if the island is more than a Beis Sosayim, you can't carry in it. And now the line before makes much more sense. If we assume that until now, I didn't throw that in yet, but I just want to go back. In other words, I was a little bit doichak. Why you shouldn't be allowed to carry? The Yerushalmi says you should be allowed to throw off from this carmelis into that carmelis, right? So it's really not a carmelis, right? It's Rishus HaYachid, right? It's 4 tenth high by 4 tvachim at the least. But if we understand that even before it was talking about a more than a Beis Sosayim, then it's very good because that's a carmelis Rabbanan, right? If that's mamish a carmelis Rabbanan, you're not allowed to carry more than 4 amos in it at all, right? So that would be that. I would assume that before it's also talking about more than a Beis Sosayim. Okay, and Yosef Mikatsa says Nasik mechitza shukva zraim. If it's more than 4 more than the Beis Sosayim in breadth, which means more than 5 in expanse, which means in 5,000 square amos. Nasik mechitza shukva zraim. It's like a wall which is surrounding seeds, which is not considered mukaf ledira. Sheimutza taltabal arba amos. You're not allowed to carry more than 4 amos. Pachs mikan. Now, if it's less than that, metalfli mitoichliyam. If it's less than that, you can carry from it to the city, to the sea, and from the sea into it, and you can carry within it at Beis Sosayim, up to the size of a Beis Sosayim. Now, Pachas Mikan must be going back again here if it's less than 10 tefachim in height, right? If it's less than 10 tefachim height, then you can carry from it into the sea, and from the sea into it. Why? Because it's considered to be part and parcel of the carmelis around it, and now the Gemara is going to come back in a moment to confirm that. And this is about Metali Boy Beis Sosayim. It's a little bit iffy. It's not clear exactly what that means. Metali Boy Beis Sosayim. I don't know if it's less than 10 tefachim in height. So then I don't know that you can carry it up to a Beis Sosayim, because Lamaisa it has no walls whatsoever. So I don't think that that's true. So I'm not sure exactly what it means by Metalti Ba Beis Sosayim. Perhaps there's some line missing here which flips us back to more than 10 Tefachim. Okay, so somehow there are 2 factors going into play in the Yerushalmi here, and somehow we have to cut and paste a little bit. I'm not going to get into it now, but we know we can identify all the factors involved. If it's more than a Beis Sosayim, if this island is less than a Beis Sosayim, so then if it's more than 10 Tefachim high by 4 Tefachim, so then you can't carry something from Rishus from it into the sea, right? Because the Rishus Yochanan is a carmelis, right? If it's more than a Beis Sosayim, and it's considered to be a carmelis to Rabbanan, because it's not Mukaf Ladira, then you would be allowed, says Rabbi Ela, to throw something into the sea from it. Why is that? So Rabbi Ela obviously holds that, like the Bavli, that lo gazra kocha b'karmelis, right? Because Rabbi Ela is permitting you to toss something from here off the side. So he argues on the previous svara. The previous svara was that gazru. Now he says lo gazru, and therefore he says as long as this is a karmelis, you can toss from here to there. Okay, let's see that inside again from Yoser Mikan, from the little zigzag mark of the Vilna Shas. Yoser Mikan, if it's more than a base of sign. Nasis k'mechitza shurukva zraim she'emut taltabol habar mamas. You only have to carry on the island itself 4 amos. Pachas mikan, if it's less than that, and this less than that, it's not clear exactly what less than that means.
Well, the language would imply less than base.
It implies less than base of sign. Yeah. Well, let's see if we were
symmetry. It would be.
It was symmetry. Well, Yerushalmi is not necessarily symmetry, but let's try it. It's less than base sign. Metalti mitocha liyam, miyam l'tocha. You can carry from it to the sea, and from the sea into it. That's okay. But the problem is this line: metalti bod base of sign. Because
it's less than base of sign until base of sign.
No, but you can't be metalta above. It's less than 10. You can't be metalta ba if up to base or sign. You can only be metalta ba adal ramas, right? If it's a carmelis, so you can't carry up to. No, 1 second. You're right. It works. No, it's fine. Pachas becomes less than base or sign. And it's more than 10 amos high. It's more right. It's more than 10 tefachim high. It's less than base time. It's more than 10 tefachim high. Metalli mitochli yam carry from it into the sea. Miyam mitochli from the sea into it. Right. If it's less than base osayim, umetallim ba, and you can carry within it ad base osayim until it's the size of base osayim. Now, says the Gemara, Rabbi Boom Bar Chia boy. Rabbi Boom Bar Chia asked, how can we possibly matter that? Me'ata, if that's the case, no, it doesn't work. Something's wrong. There's something wrong with the line. It has to be amended somewhere. Again, Pachas Mikan, what do you want to say Pachas Mikan? Is less than a base of sign? Metal Mitocha Liyam is okay. Miyam Mitocha is okay as well, because they're both karmelis. But Metalin Ba is no good. Because Metalin Ba sounds like you carry even more than 4 amos. And that's not true. You can't carry more than 4 amos. Yeah, because there's a problem. If it's more than 10 tefachim, if it's more than 10 tefachim high, right? So then it's a Rishus HaYachid. If it's more than base of sign, it reverts to a karmelis. But this pachas leaves you with some problem. Either the pachas means less than 10 tefachim high, or the pachas means it's less than a base of sign. So if it's less than a base of sign, then you shouldn't be allowed to carry from the sea into it and from it into the sea, right? If it's less than 10 tefachim, you would be allowed to carry from it into the sea and from the sea into it, because it's not a rishus. They're both karmelis, but you wouldn't be allowed to carry within it more than 4 amos because it doesn't have walls. Okay, so something's wrong there. Something has to go back and something has to be amended. But the bottom line is that we had what's clear is that if you consider the island to be a karmelis, you can toss something from the island into the sea. We're not afraid of it going more than 4 amos in a karmelis because we're not afraid of that. But now the Gemara asks, Rabbi Barchia boy, miat if that's the case, take karmelios smucha zulazu. If you have 2 karmelios next to each other, metafli mizulazu, are you allowed to carry from one to each other? Now, we matter that. Allah, we're matter that. This is a topic in the contemporary Eruv. We are matter to carry from one karmelis to another karmelis. And here he brings that down in the Gilin Hashas, in the last little paragraph. But the Yerushalmi holds, wait, how can you matter that? If the top is more than a base of sign, or less than 10 tefachim high, so it's a karmelis, you're allowed to go from karmelis to karmelis, how could that be? Fascinating story. It says, since the island is surrounded by water on all sides, therefore, Kimisha Kula Karmelis Achas. The island is considered to be what? Batel to the sea. The island is batel to the sea because it's surrounded by the karmelis on all sides. Now the obvious question is, what do you say about a boat? Right? So it could be the boat. You would say the same thing of a boat. It's less than 10 fucking deep, a raft. So it's all considered to be a carmelist, like the surrounding sea. Right? We're talking about an island, which is either less than 10 fucking high, right? Or more than a base of the high. So therefore it's a carmelist. So in that case, it's batel. Maybe a raft which has the same parameters would be the same halacha. So the bottom line is that that's why you can throw something, if as long as the island has parameters of carmelist, you can throw something from it into the sea and drop water from the sea into it. Okay? Rabbi Nuna Amar, Rabbi Nuna said, Neser shel chutz l'sfina ve'en bo rochav arba. It had a similar concept in the Bavli. If you want to draw something out of water out of the sea, so you stick a gangplank off over the side, and as long as the gangplank is less than 4 tefachim wide, right? You're allowed to sit on the gangplank, Shabbos, and do whatever you need. Pull up water, draw that, pour off water. It's okay. Now, why is that to be less than 4 tefachim? So the Gilyon Hashas Amud Beis says that if it would be 4 tefachim wide, it's a fascinating thing. It's a very cute chap. It says if this gangplank is more than 4 tefachim wide, this is my boat. This is my gangplank. If this is more than 4 tefachim wide, so now what does this become? This gangplank? It doesn't have walls. So what is it? It's 4x4, but it has no walls. So what is it? No. It's a carmelist. It's a carmelist. So he says, if this is a carmelist, if it was down here, what we'd say, if it was an island, here's my island. If it was an island, what would I say? It's batel to the surrounding carmelist. But here, if it's up here, can't be batel to the surrounding carmelist. So therefore he says, if there's more than 4 tefachim, you would not be allowed to carry from the sea to here and from here down to the sea, because we carry from carmelist to carmelist. We said carmelist to carmelist is also. The only time we're not to carmelist to carmelist is when it's an island which is at sea level and surrounded by sea. So therefore, this has to be less than 4 tefachim in order that it shouldn't have the status of the carmelist, in order it should be allowed to carry from here to here and from there to there. Okay? Says more further.
But the Gemara doesn't take into account the height of the gangplank. Shouldn't that be a factor as well?
It should. Yeah, I think the Gilyon Hashas is assuming it's more than 10 tefachim. You know what? I don't even know if those has to be more than 10 tefachim off. Maybe if it's more than 3 tefachim off. Because as long as you can't say lovud, it won't be batel. And the odds are that the gangplank is more than 3 tefachim off the Russian. Okay? I'm pretty sure, because it has to be 3 tefachim, because the shgetter of a carmelist is anything 4x4, which is more than 3 tefachim above the Rishus HaRabim. So here too would be considered separate carmelist the moment it's more than 3 tefachim above the other one. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Mona said, Ilu Amar Tever Putza Yos. This also, the conflicting opinion of Bavli. It can't just be a gangplank, it's got to be an open box. Do you remember the picture we had at the end of Daf Kuf on Shabbos? You can only draw water into the boat through an open box, right? Yeah. So that's what it is. And we say, Mechitza Tluya Materes B'mayim. A hanging wall is matir the water, right? Rabbi Avun said, if somebody wants to make a takana, in other words, to make a way to draw up water, spill down water for a boat, ilfa's a boat, Moti Neser Chutz L'Shlosha. He's got to take off this gangplank. It's got to be more than 3 tefachim away from the boat. Because if it's within 3 tefachim of the boat, what do you say? It's lovely. Right, so it's part and parcel of the wall of the boat. We have to get it separate from the wall of the boat. So it has to be more than 3 tefachim away from the wall of the boat. It has to extend that far. Right? And you see, as if these walls go down and make it's good aches. Good aches. But even here it's talking about, he holds that even Shlosha Shays. Which is in the wall with anytime it's in 3 of the wall, it's like the wall, so that would be part of the boat. Rabbi Lezer, Mefakid, Rabbi Yoshia, Bei Rabbi Shimei, to have a porish. He told Rabbi Yoshia from the house of Simei, from the son of Rabbi Simei, who was going out to sea. Porish means to sailing. Ma'abed le sal, make a sal pchusa, make an open basket. Because he paskin that the gangplank was not enough, but rather what do you need? You need actually to have an open box, an open basket hanging down, which you use as your to draw up your water. Okay? Hazorek, somebody who throws something. V'nizkar ad shelo teitzei miyado, remembers before it leaves his hand. Now that's obviously a mistake. The source of Shas changed it. It says that he remembers after it leaves his hand, right? So Ray left his hand, but hasn't gone 4 amos until the other rishus yet, or in mid-flight. Called to acher, somebody else caught it. Called to kelvs, caught by a dog. Or shnisrfo, it burnt up. Potter, you're exempt. You're potter from a korban, right? Because you weren't chilasa b'shogeg, sofa b'shogeg. You didn't end up being b'shogeg, and also didn't end up being your maisa. You didn't do that nocha in those cases where the dog caught it, etc. Similarly, zorak lasos mechabura. You threw Sayan Shabbos in order to wound Ben Adam, either your friend, Ben Behem, or an animal. V'nizkar, remembered actually that it's also to do actual nasis chabura before the wound was made. Potter, you're exempt again because you're not exempt from payment. You have to pay, but you're exempt from chiyuv Shabbos because you knew you were mazed at the end, so therefore you're not a candidate for korban, which requires complete and total shogeg. Zeh, this is the general principle. Kol chayav v'chatos, anytime we chayav v'chatos, einan chayav v'chayav at shetei tilasam v'som b'shogeg, you have to be shogeg from the beginning to the end. Chilas and shkogan, if you start up being a shogeg, but sof and sod you end up being a mazid. Chilas and sod you start up being a mazid. But sof and shkogan you end up being a shogeg. But turim you are exempt. At shetei chilasan v'sof and shkogan, unless you begin and you end being a shogeg. Says Markinim, this is the way to read our Mishnah. The hazid, that after it left your hand, you remembered and you became amazed. Why? The kasha. Because if you don't say that, it's difficult. The following: if you shot an arrow in order to kill somebody, and right after the arrow left your hand, you said, "Darn, I didn't mean to do that." Right? You change your mind. Right? When we v'yitrubo because the more they said after you shot the gun, Yankel, why'd you shoot? You're going to kill him. You're going to be chayim misa, right? V'chazabo, and he reneged. Shema klumu, doesn't make a difference, right? Can he change whatever chiyuv he had? He has, right? It's not potter. So here too, when just because it left his hand, so and then he remembered what he did. So why is he potter? So it must be that because already he did it. It's done. So therefore, it says the Gemara, although it's a little bit difficult, I'm not sure exactly if I understand it, but heavy soifach meimar behezid. It must be that the reason why he becomes potter is because mazid is also potter by korban. In other words, he becomes mazid, and mazid, the truth is you're a bigger rusher now, because you started out being a shogeg and now you're a mazid. But mazid is potter by korban. So you can't. Had you not become a mazid, ironically, had you not become a mazid, and somebody told you that you threw it and you said, "Oh, I can't believe I threw it. It was Shabbos." So then you'll still be potter. You'll still be chayv korban because you didn't ruin your status. You can't get worse by that. The only way you can get worse is if you make yourself a mazid, because a mazid is off a korban technicality that mazidin can't bring korbanos. Okay, and of course by making a chabur on somebody, by killing somebody, there's no difference because we're not talking about korban. We're talking about chiyuv tashlumin, and chiyuv tashlumin you have regardless. So therefore, if you become whatever you do afterwards, it doesn't detract from the original chiyuv. Rabbi Yosef Chinomer, new sugya. B'shogeg.
Can you just explain that last thing? That's so.
Does it change the status? Have a soifcha, you must conclude. Have a soifcha means you must conclude. Meimar, that he changed. Have so Meimar, you must conclude and say v'hezid that how would he change the status here? By going to a worse status, by doing it b'mezid.
When he remembers it, are we saying now that since he threw it and then he remembered?
And then after he remembered, he said, "Gewaltig, ich will mechal Shabbos sein." That's what makes him potter. Because if he didn't become a mazid, so you can't get him off. At that point, the mice is already done. The only way you can get off the hook, ironically, is by exacerbating your avera. Because the aggravated crime is exempt from a korban. Right, off the hook for a korban.
But it's unusual because his action is already done. In a certain status, And frankly, you can always argue who really cares what his thoughts are afterwards.
Right. But he can't go, because he had a pizza by carbon, a shav midi also brings the carbon. Only said would have refrained from doing the isser, right? And since before the mice is complete, he becomes amazing, so therefore he's in the category of person who's too big a rush and is bringing carbon. So here's the case where he gets off the carbon because of his rishus. That's why he gets off. Okay? Says more further. Rabbi Yosef Chanina Omar b'shoki below saseh. This time we had him Cloud Gadol in the Bavli. If somebody was a shogeg, a guy was a shogeg in the below saseh, uvamezid below saseh. He was a shogeg in the low saseh and mazid in the low saseh. Right? We're talking about shogeg and mazid. It's shogeg. He forgot about the lav, remembered the lav. Rabbi Shimon, which is classic shogeg and mazid. Shimon Levi, of course, argues, as we saw in the Bavli already. Amar b'shoigeg b'ikaris, uvamezid b'ikaris. Even if you know it's us, you know it's a lav, but you're not sure if you're chayav karetz or not. Remember that from Cloud Gadol, right? You remember? They had this big machlokas of Cloud Gadol. If it's possible to consider somebody shogeg, if he even knows it's us, but he forgot your chayav karetz for it. Okay, so that's the same machlokas here, right? Shimon Levi, b'shoigeg b'ikaris, amazed b'ikaris. What determines shoy meis is not the lav. He knows it's usher, but he forgot whether it's chayav karetz on it or not, right? Tanya Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai Misei Rabbi Shimon Levi. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is arrived for Rabbi Shimon Levi. Now this is a fascinating point the Bavli did not make. It's as Hashem hu magadi for nichos. It says he blasphemed against God and to be eradicated. Now that part of the brisa is not germane. The rest of the brisa says that if a person does such an aver b'shoigeg, he gets malchus and he brings a carbon. How can you get malchus and bring carbon together? It's a contradiction. It's either or, right? So hagat smicha. So analyze the matter. Literally, imagine to yourself, right? Afilu mazid, even if it's amazing. Here's a couple of typos. The Shai says, Afilu mazid belav. Even in a case where he's mazid in the lav, he knew lav is aser, but he forgot the kares is aser. Masrinbo, you give him warning that it's a lav. V'loik, and he gets malchus because it's a lav. But since he forgot, and we didn't tell him there's a chiyav kares, maybe carbon as well. He brings a carbon on forgetting it's kares, even though you're flogging him for knowing that it was a lav, which is a remarkable case. Ravo b'shem Rabbi Yelan said, Hashoigi, same thing. Hashoigi b'chelev. Somebody forgot that chelev yechayev kares. Umezid, here too it should be mezid b'lav. He knew it was also, but he forgot yechayev kares. Maser and bo, he gave him warning. V'loike umevi carbon. He gets malchus, but he has to bring a carbon as well. Okay. Now another famous principle from Masechta Shabbos: Tzanan ein misaskin lo b'chalovin lo b'arayis. There's no misasik by chaylev and arayis, right? By isurim of achila, isurim of arayis, there's no misasik. Misasik b'Shabbos part. What is the case of misasik? Now, truth is, this Yerushalmi might argue in the Bavli. I don't know. I really don't know. It says here, what's a misasik b'Shabbos? Misasik b'Shabbos chapotar b'chalovin v'eretz chayev. Hey Chavida, what's the case of misasik? I ran koitzer chatzi grogeres. I had in mind to cut a half a grogeres. The cuts are ki grogeres, and you cut a full grogeres, your potter. Now the Bavli never had that case. The Bavli's worst case scenario of misasik is I had in mind lachtoch mechuber zeh v'chatach mechuber acher. Right? I had in mind to cut this grass and cut other grass. So I had in mind to do an isser, but I had in mind to do the isser in that object instead I did the isser in that object. Right? Here it's even a step beyond that. I had in mind to do the isser in this object, but only in half a shiur. And I did the object in the whole full shiur. And nonetheless, the Yerushalmi calls that misasik. So I don't know if the Bavli will call it misasik. I just don't know. Right? Because it isn't the same object. So I really don't know what the Bavli would say about this.
And it's the same activity. It's just a different object.
Well, that the Bavli patters. The Bavli patters where it's the same activity and different object. But it's the same object, and nonetheless the Yerushalmi is pattering because it's not a shiur. He didn't have mind to do a
It's
shiur.
still the same activity.
But you're patter here. We're saying misasik is pater.
Yeah.
And that so the question is if this misasik is a greater patur than that which the Bavli is pater because of misasik. That's not clear to me. Okay? So it says or similarly, Harani Eichel Chatzi Zayis. What is a misasik and chelev, which is similar where you're not potter? Person says, I only want to eat a half a cheeseburger. V'achel kazayis, he eats a full cheeseburger, chayev. Why? Again, the Bavli says because he gets down noah. And there's no misasik by nana. Misasik means I'm not paying attention. But if you get hanoah, you're paying attention. But I don't know if that's true. Again, I don't know if that holds true in the Yerushalmi. Because if the issue is hanoah, then there's no difference between misasek in chatzi zayis and misasek in zayis shalom. You're getting hanoah both ways, just a little bit more hanoah. Right, so I think the Yerushalmi has a different parameter in misasek than the Bavli does. I think clearly it's something else, and I don't know exactly what. So, by Arias, what's misasek by Arias? Harani mischamibo. Just want to warn myself against this erva. Feherava. Whoops. And then he ends up having beer with her, so that's chayav because there's no misasek by Arias.
Was that in the Bavli?
No, we didn't have that.
What's the difference? I understand the difference between the kotzer chatzi grogos and ochel chatzi zayis.
Ochel chatzi zayis is chay because one is misasek by Shabbos, the other misasek by chelev. We said by chelev and Arias there's no misasek. Again, the Bavli said shekei nene because you can't tell me, but I think that's the Bavli shitoso. The Bavli is about a case where you didn't have in mind to eat chelev and you ate chelev, so you say tough luck because you had a no, so it's as if you had kavana. But here it's not the same thing because he had in mind to have hanoah, right? Just that he would have had in mind to have less hanoah, he got more hanoah. So it's the shekei nenes for it doesn't apply here. So there's some difference for misasek. It's probably just halacha and moshe misinai type of thing. All right, hajulach perak. Next parak. Habayna kami yivna v'yechayev. Somebody who builds, how much does he have to build and be chayev? Habayna koshu, any small amount. Hamisasis means smoothing off. V'amakapatish, putting the finishing touches. Uv'matzad and planing something, right, making it smooth. Hakodea koshu, making a small drill, chayev. Zeh is a general principle. Kos melachim, but it does melachim. Melachim lachtom is kemes b'Shabbos, as melacha is sustainable on Shabbos. In other words, it's permanent. Chayev. Somebody who hits the hammer on the animal b'shas melacha when he's doing work chayev, they should misaki melacha because he fixes the animal hammer and smooths them out by hitting them one against the other. What binyan did they have in the Mishkan? They would put the beams on top of the sockets. Ask Gemara the same question we had already several times. A little short. So wasn't that temporary because they used to move. Rabbi Yisrael became since they would go and stop based on Hashem's say so. It's as if each stop was permanent because they never knew when they would travel again. Rabbi Yisrael said on the contrary. Became Shivtino Koshbro Shemachniso Loretz. Since the Koshbro promised taking marriage to Israel, Kamishu, and this is a typo, it should be Kamishu L'Shah. It's all moves were temporary. All stops were temporary, and therefore we ultimately don't come to a resolution of how do we know that bona has to be permanent. Hadam Ramin Atzad. Now the thing is, Adonim, it's not true building. It's only minatzad, meaning it's the kalach rayat. It's not the proper derech. Hadam Rafil Nasadar Gabi Davaracher, and from the Adonim, from the crushman Adonim would be even if you put on something else. Adam Rabbinia Gabi Kalim Binyan. This town so even if you build on something else, it's a valid binyan. Says more Adoni Kikarkain. For some reason, the Yerushalmi considers the Adonim as if they are the ground. So I don't know exactly why. Tani, we learned. Echom, this we also had already. Echom maybe seven. One person brings the stone. The Echom maybe says the other brings the mortar. And maybe Sati, the person puts the mortar in place is chayav because that's a primary component of building, securing. Rabbi Yosef they're both chayav because bringing the stone is also part and parcel of building. Some Rabbi Yosef said, even below teeth, even the stone without the building is binyan, is considered to be building. Hakomo, everybody agrees, if you first put down the mortar, and then you put down the stone, true chayav, then you're chayav, because then the stone is sitting on mortar. Or, a builder who put the last stone on top, which doesn't necessarily be cemented down, somehow it stays down. He's chayav. The meaning it's going like the Rabbanan. So normally you need the mortar, and if it's the last stone in a row, so then it doesn't need the mortar. Ba'ain David Tapin, the person who makes side posts of the door. David Saipin, person who makes the lintel of the door. Chay Mishimon is chay kozabona. Ba'ain the Nokar Kipin, somebody who quarries out stones. Keeping amudim, he quarries out stones which are going to stand. It's the next one should be the chayitz, stones which are going to divide. Or he's mikatea pispis, he cuts up a clump of dirt. Okay? Or mikatea, the next one should be bulin, he cuts up pieces of metal. All those are chai mishum masatze. They're all chai because of shaping, and shaping or smoothing is the tolada boinim. Rabbi Yerushalmi Rav said, "Hamaki mito shogilo son." This is a very lemaisa Yerushalmi. If somebody puts together a collapsible bed, chai mishum bona. That's bona. Oh no, it says Maram Rabbi Zir. It's always if you're taking a brick but no smell gabi and putting it back on top of other bricks on Shabbos. In other words, if it's meant to collapse, you can't call that chayev. It's a collapsible bed. It's meant to collapse. That's not bona. You're not constructing. You're taking it apart and putting it back. That's not bona. So it says along these lines, Rav Nuna passing on the Reish Galusa, lahatir shulchan shaprakim b'Shabbos, allowed to take a sectioned table apart on Shabbos. Rav Nuna bar Chia, hava imei, Rav Huna bar Chia hava imei. Rav Huna bar Chia was with him. Sham Rav Yehuda, and I heard Rabbi Yehuda saying, v'amar, that he was saying, man dehore lay lo yalif lo shemish. Somebody allowed taking and putting back the table again, didn't learn and didn't serve Talmidei Chachamim. Says Gemara, not true. Rabbi Sime, man dehore, who said it's mutter, Rosh Gamliel horele. He certainly learned and served under Rosh Gamliel. The time we learned levachim shebasfina. If you have boards on a ship, which you put down in order to sit on, and then you pick them up again, or shabarisa, boards which go on a chair, and it's a collapsible chair. Naklita amita, the beams which keep a bed in place. V'regla shulchan, a table leg. V'yada sakin, and a knife handle. Shapirshu, which should be instead of shabarosho, which separated. Harezo leachsu, you shouldn't put them back together again, because that's a form of binder. But they're rabbanan only. Imirse hareza potter. If you put it back, it's only in the rabbanan. Vim taka, only if you force them back together again, you fuse them back. Hareza chayev. Rosh Gamliel Omer. Now he said potter. Im hayu rafim. If they were lightly connected together, noitul machzir, you can constantly put back and take out, put back and take out. All right. So the bottom line is that this is the source of heter for many things we do on Shabbos. Putting beds together, putting tables together, taking them apart again. The fact that they're roughing, they're not made to be permanent, so therefore, like Rosh Gamliel, you can put back and take out, and we will put back our Yerushalmis for this evening.
So you can add a leaf to a table, take out a leaf.
Yeah, that's a nafkamina l'maisa, mamish nafkamina l'maisa.
Folding cots, you can.
Yes, same idea, right?
You're not making an oil.
No, because your intent is not to make an oil. If your intent was to make an oil, it'd be awesome, but that's not to be an intent.